So here are the materials we'll be using for this project. In case of painter's sponge, you can use any piece of sponge that you get easily. Blue color I'm not too sure about, I'm just keeping it as an option. I'll be using this wooden board. You can use the canvas board or a thicker paper. So first of all, I'll start with some white. I'll take it directly on the board, and along with that I'll take some bright lemon yellow, and I'll take the yellow also on top of the white. And as you see, I have taken both the colors in the center of the board, and here with the help of the sponge I will mix the colors together on the board itself, and at the same time I'll spread it all over the surface with circular motions. So you have to just follow these steps and cover the entire surface using circular motions. You have to be mindful of keeping the center brightest, while as you move towards the outer edges of the surface, the color will go lighter. And at any point, if the color in the center becomes light or dull, you can just add some more yellow to make it brighter and intense. As you see, I'm also doing the same thing. I'm taking yellow time to time to intensify the color and make the center brightest. And I'm using circular motions everywhere. Here I'm taking some more yellow to intensify the brightness in the center to my liking. You can keep it as bright or as dull as per your liking, but the painting we are going to make requires the center to be glowy and bright. Now I'm happy with the yellow. Let's take some green on the same sponge, and with the same circular motion, let's start from the outer edge of the surface and move towards the center. Keep in mind that you don't have to paint the center, you have to keep the center yellow itself. You have to paint around the center and try making a circle in the center. Though you don't have to make a perfect circle, just let it be random, almost a circle, so that it looks real and not artificial. Because here we are making the backdrop for the jungle we eventually have to make. So here with this step we will provide the jungle a depth of field. So some broad and bold green strokes, creating a circle almost like a portal in the center of the canvas or wooden panel. Once you are done with this step, take your round brush and start creating some trees, just how we created during the practice lesson. So here, no foliage, only some wispy magical branches. So just some lines randomly making the trees. Keep in mind that we have to make some broad and darker trees, taller trees towards the outer edge of the surface, and as we move towards the center, the trees will become shorter, thinner, lighter in color, and they will be more curved, almost making a semicircle. The trees towards the outer edge of the surface will make the foreground, and that's why they have to be broader, darker, and taller and straighter. While those towards the center will make the background, and they will be smaller, thinner, lighter in color, and more curved, almost like semicircle. So like this, we will make trees on both the sides. It's a very easy and simple step. We have to just make some wispy random lines to form trees. We have already done that in the practice lesson, and we don't even have to make foliage on these trees. they only have these branches which are wispy, and as I already told you, acrylic is very forgiving. So at any point, if you think you've made a mistake, you're not liking the tree, any branch or the tree trunk is not as per your liking, you can change it by covering it up. Alright, so now I'm filling the gaps between the tree trunks to give it a dense feel, and here I'm using dry brushing technique. I'm not making proper uh, trunks in the middle of already made trunks. With the help of dry brushing, I filled in those gaps, and now here I'm starting from the center itself. So as you see, my trees are more curved, they are almost round, making a circle in the center, and as I go towards the outer edge of the canvas, I will make my trees straighter, taller, broader and darker. Here with some more wispy branches, I will finish off these trees. So as you see, I am making branches on both the sides, in the center as well as towards the outer side. And again with the dry brushing, I'll fill in the gaps to give it a dense look. You see this line coming from the center towards the bottom of the canvas. Make sure we don't have to keep that line very straight. It's better to keep it slightly oblique to get the natural feel. We are doing all these things just to make it look less man-made and more natural. Alright, so the same steps we followed on the left hand side, as in on my left hand side, the same steps we will follow on the right hand side also to make some more trees. There is no particular rule or pattern that I have to follow or you have to follow while making this painting, or I must say while making any painting. It's all on your liking. So what I do is I stop time to time, step back and look at the painting from a distance, and then I decide where do I need some more work, where do I need some more touch up, if I need some more tree trunks to add, if I need to fill in the gaps, if I need some more branches. So that's what I encourage you to do. As now I feel I need some dry brush strokes in the center to give it an impression of more trees going towards the center and going in distance. So I'm using these dry brush strokes in the center on both the sides just to increase the depth of field. So that's what I suggest. Every now and then just stop and go back a little and look at your painting from a distance. As now you see, I believe that there is a lot of awkward space on top of the painting. So here I'm trying to fill in that space. Starting from the sides, I will alternate between the prominent broad strokes and some dry brushing thin and wispy strokes. So as you see, I am filling in the top of the painting with some dry brushing strokes which are wispy and thin and light to give it the impression of the distant branches. But whenever I am making a prominent, broad and dark stroke like this one, I make sure to attach that with a foreground tree so that it looks like a branch in the foreground. So you have to always keep that in mind, that you are making prominent branches in the foreground and random light dry brushing branches in the background. Let's follow the same steps and fill up all the gaps to make this forest look denser and deeper. And now we are done with this. Let's wash the brush, wipe it dry, and take some yellow again to fix up the mistakes we made. I will start from the center where I have made some green strokes which I am not liking. I will first cover that up, and then let's glaze the painting. Overall, we have practiced glazing in the practice lesson, so you know it. I am taking very little amount of paint in my brush and I am rubbing it over the entire painting wherever the branches and trees are almost dried, like comparatively dried, and I'm not using so much pressure. Very light-handedly I'm wiping the light yellow to give it a glow overall. And now I am taking some more amount of yellow in the brush and filling in the gaps, making the edges of the tree trunks and branches highlighted to give it a feel that the light which is on the other side of the forest, seeping through these gaps. Alright, so carefully highlight the edges of the trees and the branches by filling in yellow in the gaps, darker yellow. Alright, time to time just keep stepping back and looking at the painting and then decide where you want to fill in the yellow, where you want to give some highlight, and keep doing that. It's time to make the shadows, and for that let's mix some black and green together. With this mix of colors, we will start from the outer edge of the painting and start making random strokes, mostly dry brushing strokes on the trees. So here I am making the shadows on the foreground trees and foreground branches. Those are the trees which are going to be the darkest, and as we move towards the center, our strokes will become lighter and more uneven. Alright, we don't have to paint the foreground trees black. That is the reason why I have mixed green in the black, so that it still looks darker green and not completely black. So here, the same rule, the same pattern, darker towards the outer edge and lighter towards the center. With that, let's give some nice shadows to all the foreground trees and branches. You will see that this color will keep becoming lighter because the color underneath this is also wet at the moment, and the two colors will react together. They will blend in to make a lighter color. So wherever you feel the color is becoming dull or light, you can just make them intense by using darker value of this green and by going over it again. So like that, we have to finish making the shadows on all the prominent and foreground tree trunks and branches. Here again, go by the same rule of stopping every now and then, stepping back and looking at your painting to decide where do you need more shadows. Don't overdo it. Be very careful with this step because black is a very dark and very bold color. It can add value to the painting, but at the same time it can ruin all your efforts and it won't be reversible. So be very careful. And now I am making some light thin strokes by holding the brush at 90°. I'm using just the tip of my brush to make shadows on the lower part of the painting, the roots and the trunks of the trees. Here, as you see, I am again not filling it completely, not making it solid black. I am using the tip of my brush to make thin strokes and give it a rough texture. That's how the trees are. Naturally also, they are generally rough, not very smooth. So I'm just trying to achieve that look here. So go on doing that, but every now and then step back and look at your painting and then follow this step. And with this, we are completely done with the forest. Now let's move on making the star of the painting. I have taken my thin brush and with that I am using the same green and black mix. I have only taken more black this time and I will first make the outline. We have already practiced making a unicorn silhouette. Here I am trying to make it as if it's going to run somewhere. So here goes the outline. The hair, the tail, and a horn. And now we have to just fill it up. There. With this step, we are done with the painting. And now after this, we will use the acrylic medium for our advantage and fix and cover up if there are any mistakes. So here, if you ended up making the horn broader than you liked, as I have done it here, we can always go back with some yellow and green and cover that up. All right. Here you must be wondering that the unicorn's gesture looks a little different from my outline. So I made it, but then I did not like it much, so I made my unicorn look down instead of looking up. That's the only change I have made. Rest is just the detailing of the mane and the hair on the tail. And here, as you see, with some yellow and some green, I am touching it up and fixing the mistake. Just like that. And some more touch-ups here and there. And we are done. Congratulations, you have made this painting, if at all you followed along. And if not, please give it a try and make it and share the pictures in the project gallery with me. I'll be really happy to see them.